Well, let me say a couple of things. Do I support free education? Yes. I think it's important. I think any major society, when it was undertaking development, had some form of free education, particularly at both primary and secondary and tertiary level. So most of Western Europe in the development phase had free education. Most of East Asia had it. Most of the other societies had it at various points in their existence. So is free education important for facilitating a development, the national development of the society? Absolutely. And then you'd have a much more developed higher education system, and a much more developed higher education system would then impact on how people, they would be much more productive, they would impact on the economy in a much more productive way, and it would have an added benefit. That's 50% of our students at the moment don't finish the degrees. 50%. So you start, 50% of the students who start university education never complete. That's not only a tragedy, it's a wastage of human talent. It's a wastage on a scale, on a colossal scale that's unacceptable. So, if you ask me for free education, yes, I'm very pro free education. I think it's doable.
In our lifetime?
In our lifetime, if we had the courage to act against the people who were corrupt. And that's where our failure has been. It's perfectly doable. Other societies did it. But do we have the political courage to make the hard choices we made? 10 years ago, people said the antiretrovirals wouldn't be provided to HIV/AIDS sufferers. Today, Aaron Motsaledi has 2 million HIV/AIDS sufferers on antiretrovirals, the highest in the world. It happened in 4 years.
Political will.
Political will. That's the big question, political will.
Thank you so much for your time.
All right, good.
Free education must no longer be a rhetoric, where those who want applause, they just end up, well, free education. We don't want that.
I support free education. My name is Richard Whitler. I support it because you can't get a job these days if you don't have tertiary education. It's like going out into the world with nothing. So you study for 12 years, get a matric, and all you can be is a checkers, cashier. You need a tertiary education to get any jobs. Perfect.
My name is DK Patuli, and the reason I support free education is that you need to improve the economy. Whatever goals you may have as a government to improve the economy, you need certain skills that you get from graduates. So why would you put barriers, financial barriers for students who are trying to get degrees, who can then assist us in expanding whatever economic objectives that we have? So remove those, educate our people, and then we can work on improving the economy and providing the necessary services that we need with our skilled graduates. And that's why I support the calls for free education. Thanks.
That free education or tertiary education is a basic need that everyone deserves to be taught, on a tertiary level.
Yes, what she said.
Thank you.
Yes, okay, cool, bye!
I'm the chairperson of the Social Sciences Student Council. My name is Siyabonga Ndandom Dawe. I support free education because I believe everyone should have a chance to obtain at least until a university first degree level of education to make it a fair economy for everyone to actually get jobs and a fair economy for everyone.
It's such an important foundation for this country. I think that it's really inspiring that people think positively.
So even though it might not happen in our lifetimes, because of complications,
it's not going to happen
logistics,
like all of a sudden, but it's important that there are people that are trying to do that.
advocate. Alright, thank you guys so much for your time.
Good luck. What's it for? Tertiary education will never be free.
Okay.
I mean, if you educate too many people, who's going to do it later in the end?
Okay.
And thank everyone for coming. This is the first of our many debates on free education. It's hosted at Banato. We thank the HouseCom for hosting us, that you've communicated with. What I'm going to do now, before we start, I'm going to bring the adjudicator to clarify the rules. Then I'll come back just to start the debate. Time is not on our side. Amandla.
friends, comrades and fighters among us. We have before us a very interesting topic and a very relevant topic, and I want to start by thanking the organizers for giving us this. We are here to talk about whether free education in the tertiary sector is a viable solution to the current education crisis that we face in South Africa. We'll now start off by talking a bit about why free education is so important for South Africa in its current climate. If I can just take a step back, for too long we've suffered apartheid, not just physical apartheid, but apartheid of the mind. We've seen for so long that mental slavery is something which is very difficult to emancipate ourselves from. And this is something which we can address through free education. If we look around the world, we now live in what's called a knowledge-based economy. The wealth of a country is no more in its mineral resources, but in its ability to be able to define itself in the global space based on its ability to contribute to the knowledge-based economy. Let me put these few numbers before you as the audience. A graduate from this University of the Witwatersrand, depending on what they study, is said to earn between 80 and 120 million in today's money terms, in today's current value terms. Let's put that into perspective. Over 50% will roughly go towards tax, money which we can use to build the infrastructure and further develop our rainbow nation. With that money as well, there's a resultant domino effect. So you finance one group, and with the money that one group brings into the country, you then have a domino effect where the government is not actually spending money, but it's the money that the graduates produce through their intellectual capability and capacity, which then can lead us to finance free education going forward. I then want to close by saying that too often as South Africans we've been lulled into this false sense of believing the Western ideas that tertiary education is a privilege, not a right. In South Africa, our masses have suffered for too long because we've believed that it's a privilege. I want to state that here clearly today that tertiary education is a right, and all of our students and our people should have access to this right, and not because they can't afford it, but because they are more than capable of succeeding in the tertiary educational landscape. I thank you.
We also are feeling privileged to have been invited to this momentous discussion on whether free education as a tool is actually viable. And of course, as we have already indicated, we do not believe that free education, or what the House has termed a provision by government for higher education, is actually viable. And we are going to show it through a number of arguments. One of which is that, as we speak already, there is at least less than 10% students who are paying out of their parents and their own personal coffers for the education. There is, through this current government, the NSFAS fund, which is helping students go through their tertiary education. There is, through the private sector, the corporate social investment bodies that are helping to fund education. And you see, with corporate social investment, we're not only saying that people must come in for free, it's free for everyone. We're saying that you on merit, you get funded, you get training, mentorship, all the support systems that you need throughout your education at WITS. From there you get training and you actually get recruited into various companies and you become an active participant in the mainstream economy.
You see, great, the debating team, greetings to you all. Yeah, I'm the second speaker. My name is Sivem Kukela from the proposing team. So our proposal is saying that we demand free education. Then the government, the kind of system we have currently in South Africa. It is the system that just does it as it pleases. It is capitalist in nature because you find that universities are just pushing fees, private universities, they are pushing fees up. So if education is free, at university. It would make more people have access to university. Because right now, if, for example, for a working class person like myself, if you don't have an upfront payment fee, you can't enter in university. And that means and if it's government owned and it's free, for everyone who is deserving, education is granted to you.
To the opposition and to the floor at large. My name is Omabisi, the second speaker for the opposition, and I will oppose this motion. What I believe is that we should then improve on these facilities that are already provided. We should then bring back the trade school, which was demolished in the dawn of our democracy. We should then also focus on our NSFAS. What we have seen is that a lot of students who are academically deserving but are not middle class but higher working class do not qualify. What we should then do is improve the means test, the EFC as it's also called, of the NSFAS, where more students can then be put on NSFAS and then repay that loan. What the proposition has focused on is that if you have a higher throughput of graduates going into society, you'll find that the economy automatically grows. This is not true, as we have seen in Zimbabwe. They have more graduates than we do. They have free university education, yet you find our people are still crossing borders to go and find employment. I will also go on and say that we then should push our private sector to be more economically responsible.
Thank you very much. Greetings to everybody in the house. I understand the articulation that this might stifle entrepreneurship. However, I think it's also listening in the house, in that you're assuming that free education will stifle creativity and initiative on those who then would have access to education. What free education will then do is open up grounds for all those who are unable to have access to education to then have a choice to have that access to that education, right? And ensure that it is actually quality education. That is the biggest argument we're having here.
It's something quite important. One, we must not forget that half of our education budget is already spent on education. So the issue of throwing more money in education is not necessarily the central problem that we are facing in South Africa. If already half of our budget is on education. And I think proposition was not able to show how adding more money will actually assist us. And I think we need to answer that question. The second is that the issue is not necessarily around free education. It's around ensuring that our education is quality. We will know that the Economic Forum ranked us 142 out of 144 countries in terms of our quality of education, which has a ripple effect in higher education, don't forget. So the arguments that I want to do is that we're not speaking about how do we fix a system already, and we're saying, no, let us expand and just add more people in a system that's already deteriorating, and I think we're not answering that.
It's been proposed by the proposition side. It's very clear, it's very simple. You see, we are preconceived, or rather we are being channeled to think money, because of the debate that is being brought by opposition is being money this, money that, money that. Whereas the proposition has said it very clear, we need free education. How are we going to get free education? We are going to need a budget. The money that is being put now in education is not enough, clearly, because of, if you come from experience now, I will tell you, NSFAS cannot accommodate every student. We have students now who are going to be academically excluded, financially excluded tomorrow because of they did not get NSFAS, but already they're in the system. How do you address that? Number two, the middle class that you're speaking to here, it was created by education in itself. Now, we cannot create more of this middle class because of we are saying education must be a commodity of which we are closing other people outside. Now, what I'm trying to present here is very simple. I am saying we need to have free quality education. It doesn't mean that education is free, it's not going to be quality. I don't know where we take that myth from. It's going to be free quality education onto which we are going to boost our economy, because of the minute I am a graduate, the minute I'm a lawyer, it means going back, I'm going to have a more meaningful role that I play in the economy. Right now, our young people are unemployed. It's true. They are unemployed, but because of there is no access to education. Most of our students here, we know that they were financially excluded, and I can mention a few. In fact, some of us will almost suffer being victims of such. That is why I'm saying we cannot take education, turn it into a commodity, and then say it's fine, it's normal, the system is working.
I have two things I want to add. I think what the against side was sort of alluding to is that private sector must participate in this sort of discourse and debate. But I think what the proposition or the force that maybe should sort of argue for is that, in essence, is that if there is funding from sort of private sectors and the likes, it should come in and it should be sort of, they should participate. But the link between regulation and implementation must be the responsibility of the state, such that if university education does not succeed, we know who to point to. So if KPMG, whoever has one, come and bring your money, give it to the state. Let the state run those institutes. Let state regulate how people get bursaries. Let state regulate who comes in, how, where, what, and how we're spending those bursaries. Secondly, I think the notion of free in terms of how far, at least from my understanding, let the access to the actual degree be free. But your service to your country should then be your repayment to the state. So let me get a free degree. Let me get study for 4 years to get a particular degree. But after those 4 years, I must give back to my country. So after 4 years of studying, I must work in the government of the state. So that it's not necessarily free. So it's free for me to access the education and get the tools I need to develop myself. But once I have those tools, I will give back in the form of my service.